Next up is District 16. Representing the district is Delegate Korman, who happens to be the chair of the Environment and, Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Chair Kramer, Chair Polakovich-Carr. I am here on behalf of the District 16 legislators, Senator Sarah Love, Delegate Sarah Wallach, and Delegate Teresa Warman. Appreciate, Mr. Secretary, both at the top and then in response to the Chair's questions, you going through the overall picture you're facing. I spent a lot of time thinking about it. I go to bed thinking about it and wake up thinking about it. So it was great to hear you lay it out for others to think about. I get to spend lots of time with you all on those issues. So today I'm going to focus primarily on District 16 specific issues. Just want to thank the whole team, but especially Derek and Ray, who are on the front lines with us in Montgomery County and in District 16 for a lot of our on-the-ground issues. I'll start with some State Highway Administration matters. Old Georgetown Road, Maryland 187 to you all. We have bike lanes on there. They're an important safety feature. Obviously, there's been a lot of consternation about them and a lot of ongoing work and engagement by State Highway, which we appreciate and, of course, has to continue to make sure we get this right. I know there's an analysis coming out, I believe, November 1st, and we also have the new Woodward High has just opened there, and unfortunately, State Highways work there was behind the opening of the school, which is a little bit of a coordination challenge. So I just ask for your continued indulgence working on those issues. And then also on River Road, Maryland 190, the needs analysis was just released for that for a segment of Maryland 190. So really appreciate that. And we're working with you all and Councilman Friedson's office on setting up a public meeting for folks to learn more about that. On 187 in Cordell, Administrator or Director Conklin mentioned this about dollars flowing. This project has caused me great consternation. In 2018, the State Highway Administration came up with the idea of improving the crossing at 187 and Cordell. In 2021, funding was allocated from the Transportation Planning Board. In 2022, you managed to get the RRB indicators out there on the two sides, but we still don't have the pedestrian refuge and what I think is going to be a third RRB there. And it's, I think, concerning that we can't pour a little bit of concrete and put one pole up when you have all these other big things to do, that we can't get this one little thing done. And I'm worried it's representative of some of the broader challenges. Along with that, there's work at the adjacent Maryland 188, Wilson and Cordell. Appreciate the continued work there. Again, it's just been taking a long time to actually use the dollars that have been in the CTP for at least the past three cycles. And then very recently, I just pointed out to District 3 that at Wilson and Clarendon, just a little up the road from Cordell, we have another unprotected crossing that could also use a little bit of attention. At Rayburn and Bradley, Maryland 191, this is something new, unlike those other things that I mentioned. You've all just started the study, but I just want to point out that in the last 3 weeks, there have been 3 crashes there. So, keep studying and getting through that 90-day analysis, but we, need to make sure we're taking account of what's going on there and getting some fixes in place. Similarly, Wilson and Glenbrook, 188 in Glenbrook, actually District 3 recommended a 4-way stop probably about a year ago. I've kept asking for updates, our office kept asking for updates about the status, and just recently came to learn that actually, I think SHA HQ, forgive me, I can't remember the name of the office, disagreed with District 3, and so that's kind of in re-review. And so one, it would just be good to know when those things happen, so I can know instead of complaining to Derek, I can complain to Administrator Pines. But two, we just want to be able to inform the constituents that bring these issues to us. It's not me bringing these issues to us. I do have my own complaints, when they're mine, but it's often constituents who we are carrying the water for. So it's just good to keep that communication going, as is usually the case. I also want to mention Goldsboro Road, MD 614 to you all, and Bradley Boulevard, MD 191. In addition, for the desire along both corridors for multimodal improvements, both have serious drainage and erosion problems, and I know that's representative of broader challenges you all have with the system. Studies from your Office of Hydraulics are great, and we appreciate that attention, but we need to talk kind of long-term about how we're going to fund all the challenges. These roads and the drainage systems were not built for climate change, and that's something you all have to deal with everywhere. I see it on, the roads near me in my district. I know it's a problem everywhere, and I think we need a discussion about how it's going to be addressed. I do want to, thank you. Just last week, there were safety improvements made at Ogden and River Road to restrict some turns there that were leading to many crashes. And you all worked with Jonathan's office and WMATA on a transit-only turn at Wisconsin and Cedar. That's going to allow much better bus service as part of WMATA's better bus service. So really appreciate State Highway and the department working with us on that. And that's really representative of your broader work. Obviously, I'm here raising concerns. This doesn't list the 85 things that you've all done to improve life in Montgomery County and District 16 over the past 364 days since we've been here, which I do appreciate. A couple other non-state highway issues I'm hoping we can get updates on. Both Delegate Foley and Delegate Polakovich-Carr referenced the Brunswick line. I don't know how much of this is sort of out in the universe here, but it would just be kind of good to get a little bit of an update from the deputy administrator about the negotiations with the freight railroad that owns the line, because my understanding is we have had to pull back from something they were offering. So oftentimes we are complaining that they are not cooperating, but I understand we have limited resources. I think it's good for people to understand what that means, and I think one of the things it means is we are not getting added service on the Brunswick line, but please, deputy administrator, correct me if I have that incorrect. And then as long as I'm bothering you and Ray on the purple line, I just want to say I'm hoping we're going to hear some news soon about the progress with the second entrance. MTA, WMATA, and the County Department of Transportation are all working together on the contracting for that. It's a really important component of the overall Purple Line project. I know you're going to hear from District 20 soon, and they'll hammer on this, but I also just want to, put another plea out for anything you can do on pedestrian and auto access around the Purple Line construction project, and start to tell people when their life might get back to a little bit more normal as we get to the sort of systems testing phase of the Purple Line, and can start bringing down some of these construction sites. Just today I had a complaint about the sort of shed that's on 355 that is doing important excavation work, but at some point that excavation work will be done, and hopefully we'll be able to open that lane back up. I'll just in general plea for continued transparency on the Purple Line, which the long history of the project has not always had. We have often found out about problems, both the legislature and the public, very late. So please keep those reports coming, keep the transparency that this administration has been doing for the past 2 years. I appreciate a number of my other colleagues and Rich Madaleno mentioning WMATA and the governor stepping up last year. It's great that WSTC, if Senator Kagan's still here, I apologize. The Washington Suburban Transit Commission is up on the rostrum. I know that started last year under your leadership, Secretary Wiedefeld. I think it's great that you're thinking of it as one of the modes of MDOT. It costs about double-digit percentage of your overall budget, so I think it makes sense that it be up there, and appreciate the governor's leadership last year. That has to continue into the future because WMATA's needs are still there. I don't know if WMATA is one I'm allowed to use an acronym for, so Metro's needs are still there. Chrissy Nizer from the Motor Vehicle Administration, just thank you so much. Your office is always so responsive to all the issues we bring to you. I actually had a constituent stop me at an event the other day to compliment the Motor Vehicle Administration. Doesn't happen often, so I thought I would pass that along. It was really positive to hear about how seamless their experience was. They were comparing it to another state, so I thought you would like that. And also want to thank you for your work on Vision Zero. Thanks to a piece of legislation from Delegate Polakovich-Carr and Senator Waldstreicher, your meetings on Vision Zero are about to go public in December, and I'm hoping that will go a long way towards improving a lot of the safety issues that have been the topics of discussion tonight. And finally, maybe less pleasant, I think we need a more realistic update on what's going on with the American Legion Bridge 495 and 270. We've had 6 or 7 years of unrealistic discussion. Some of you were here for that, most of you were not. I think we're in a little bit of a nether zone right now where we're kind of acting like we're still going to go forward with this full project that's, was kind of dreamt about. And I don't think that's very realistic based on everything else we've heard tonight. And I think we need to talk to people about what it is we realistically want to do, what that realistically will cost, and how that fits in with the life of the bridge and the roads, like what work has to be done and what work doesn't have to be done. And if we're going to redeck the bridge to extend its useful life, what is that going to mean for traffic versus building a replacement bridge alongside of it, whether it's more lanes or the same amount of lanes? I think we need a much more realistic and public conversation about where that project is. I think that was coming, and then the Key Bridge happened, and for understandable reasons, your capacity was used up, and I share all my colleagues' condolences in what occurred there and the loss of the lives of those workers. But we need to kind of give a realistic assessment of where things are. So I'm hoping you can update on some of those things now, maybe not all of them, but appreciate you all being here and staying at what Administrator Pines calls a late meeting every year with us.
Definitely on the American Legion Bridge, I think we should have, more detailed discussion on that and really talk, realistically about what the future holds for that, both in terms of its immediate needs and then its future. I think that is a broader discussion to have. Kate, I don't know if you can give an update on the CSX,
Sure.
Brunswick line.
Happy to. So the MTA team has been negotiating with CSX for opportunities to provide additional service on the Brunswick line. We recognize that peak-only service is not as relevant now as it was pre-pandemic, and we were interested in expanding the service hours. We made some progress in that conversation and are very excited to continue those conversations with CSX. Unfortunately, right now, due to the fiscal constraints that we're under, we're not in a position to take that forward, but it is an ongoing conversation with CSX. Additional service is possible there. It's an operating commitment as well as an expectation of a future capital commitment that we need to be comfortable to make in order to be able to provide that service.
Ray, anything?
Yes, it was great talking with you on Monday regarding with WMATA on the Bethesda mezzanine entrance. We've made some progress on that already of establishing meetings and have some more details that will be coming in from WMATA that we'll be able to share and have some greater coordination and details going forward on that entrance piece. As far as the pedestrian safety, talking with the team, I'm out there every day. I was just out on Bonifine yesterday, walking through there. Making sure that we did have the access. Looking forward to reopening Georgia over there at the end of this month, and also moving forward with making some track installation over there at the library and starting to show track moving along over there in the Bonifine area. We know it's a tight space, and we're working closely. We made some improvements with the pedestrian barriers and keeping a close eye on there on those pedestrian access and across the corridor.
Thank you. I can give a couple of updates as well. Delegate Korman, when the very first time we met, when I stepped into the new role, you let me know how important 187 in Cordell was. Being accountable for that, Director Conklin and I have been working hand in glove. He has communicated the schedule with me that the PS&E review is planned for March of next year. I think that schedule has been communicated. We're going to stay in touch to keep the project moving to try to make sure that an advertisement happens next year so that that can move forward. I know it's been a pain point. Also, in talking to Derek, the project at 188 and Glenbrook, that does have some difference of opinions within engineers in our Office of Traffic and Safety in the district. So now that I understand that, I'll get involved quickly to try to get to a resolution.
Great, thank you. I should mention two other things. One, appreciate the commitment to opening, or I should say the intent to open the Capitol Crescent Trail earlier than the full Purple Line project. I know my colleagues from District 18 will talk about that. And then just because I like to be very candid, I should say I've done some legal work for CSX in the past, never in the state of Maryland, but I just want to mention that since you mentioned CSX. Thank you so much for being here.